Okay, so like definitely not taking your impression right now is that like basically after like Ladros having that absorbed all the theories elemental powers of Fana, and then was bring like exactly the reason for like Ladros after like absorbing Fana's like elemental power like Ladros being like far superiorly strong when compared to Fana even while Fana process like this element of power, like but different equipment all you have to do is like while Fana process this element of power, like Fana wasn't able to tap into her full absolute potential and full actual salamander power. Like Fana wasn't able to like access all that true power of Fana. That and while Ladros absorbed away like Fana's like serious salamander power, like Ladros was able to like absorb the entirety of like the power of salamander power lying within Fana. And that's why Ladros is like a whole lot of pyramid thrown up currently that Fana. It's definitely my question to remember because on absorbing like Ladros is like straight away able to like access the maximum extent of like Fana's like salamander power currently is definitely my positive impression. So my positive impression so that like this like even though Ladros didn't realize it like like the very second attack of Ladros to have stamped on like Ladros absorbing Fana's powers like I'm putting as the hand genuinely died and the only thing the Queen of Witches might have done might have been that basically give as revive Asta, like basically bring Asta, bring the death Asta back to life. Was exactly the Queen of Witches use her magic to like basically restart Asta's heart. And that way, like solely due to like the Queen of Witches like interference, Asta was able to like survive and be brought back to life again. But then Asta was solely because of like the help of the Queen of Witches was able to like get back into life from being like a dead like state. It's definitely my cognitive impression. So my cognitive impressions were like soon as like Asta came back to like solely to like the thanks of the killing of this after right like I'm considering it might be precisely Asta's own decision to like straight away bring out Asta's true power like true current maximum power of like the by accessing like the dark powers of the Clover and the precise reason for like Asta like the moment Asta was brought back to like say the which was just straight away decided to like bring out the powers with the Clover was precisely because Asta basically at that point actually fully grasped and understood like the extreme danger of like the situation with precisely after like the Ladros having stolen like Fana's power. It's definitely my personal impression because like Asta would be like in like the present Asta would be well and fully aware that basically it was solely due to like Asta purposefully going easy on Ladros and purposefully deciding to like miss the vital points of Ladros while attacking Ladros was like the sole reason for like the present situation with like Ladros even ending up stealing Fana's powers and being so extremely dangerously strong. So right now, and that even causing like Asta to actually die. So like, Asta right now would be totally feeling lucky that he was even after dying somehow miraculously he was able to like survive. That would be exactly what Asta would be thinking. The moment his like his heart started beating away, it's definitely my business remember. So like, especially because of that, like Asta, the moment Asta heart, this pain of it just helped Asta be brought back to life. Like at that very instant itself, like Asta had twisted his mind to like never take any more risks or any more chances against Ladros and never to ever purposefully go easy on Ladros at all. And Asta straight away like on being brought back to like after straight away deciding to like access to like ultimate fifth floor and dark powers will do precisely Asta straight away accessing that power with like the precise intent to precisely take Ladros to life. So like I'm personally from this point down I'm personally only running Asta to like just like a floor power actually fighting off against Ladros with like the precise and constant intent to take Ladros' life because like Stealth would be like seeing the current situation as like as to having like no other choice but to like fight Ladros while with the precise intent to take Ladros like because like if Asta doesn't do that like basically Asta has the possibility of like Asta seriously risks like the possibility of not just Asta dying but like everybody all of us just present right there also dying by the hands of like the news currently strong Ladros. It's definitely my personal language. So like I'm considering right now as for like the fifth floor power processing Asta versus like power trader finance power processing Ladros fight I'm considering only for Asta actually only eventually like overpowering and defeating and even taking the life of Ladros. It's like a definite scenario that I'm only breaking right now. And once Asta would be taking Ladros life, like that would be what Presley causes like the Presley at the moment Ladros would be dying by the hands of Asta. And the all that superior theory salamander powers that Ladros had stolen from Pana like would be like released out of Ladros and emitted out of Ladros like the moment that Ladros dies. And that way, like straight away, that all those emitted powers would be returning back to Pana, and that way Pana would be getting back some salamander power. It's like the scenario that I'm also talking. But even when Pana would be at that point getting back her elemental powers, like still Pana still won't be able to like access like the true powers and the true potential of like her salamander powers. Currently, like all those true powers currently that Ladros was able to access like even after like Ladros the salamander power returns back to Pana from Ladros, like still Pana won't be able to like access all that through potential and through powers of the salamander theory magic is definitely like this much of like the scenario that I'm looking at departing and my looking theory and production. Okay, so like definitely my looking theory and production is that like the ancient and the established might have been like a jar that might have in this initially lived during like the first time period of around this like the very around this like the very top of the king of born. And basically like as to like the while even like the legend and all that happened like as personally like the legend happening according to my earlier prediction and theory is that like might have probably happened due to like basically the ancient ancestor list as well as this, like elf like tribe being attacked after like that the character who eventually became like the very first with the things had like before itself like approach like the ancient ancestor list and desiring of desire to like want peace between like elf like tribe and human. So his desire of wanting that peace might have been genuine, but he might have only been betrayed by precisely like the ancient ancestor of King Augustus might have been what might have happened. And the palliation of like the ancient ancestor legend has like strong members, surviving members of like the elf like tribe might have been precisely like them like using their special magic to like fuse for all of them to like fuse and basically turn into the giant arm demon monster and basically trying to get revenge on like the on like the flaw from like the distant past and that like precisely the that precise character basically defending and protecting like the claw kingdom and fighting back against like this giant dark demon eventually resulting in like him offering and defeating the giant of demon and like closing them from that circumstance of like declaring him as that character as like the very first returning. So like I'm considering when that character might have defeated the giant dark monster, like the ancient ancestor list as well as its like remaining strong warriors of like the Elflex tribe might have totally turned into like an unfused state. So like at that point I was preparing with genuine good intent, like I'm totally preparing like the precise like or like I'm considering it might have not been like the thing like it might have been like the army of like the ancient ancestor of like thing over so at that point after like the very first result thing might have defeated like the giant dark demon monster and like lich the ancient ancestor lich and all the other warriors might have turned into an unfused state like the army of like the ancient ancestor of King Augustus might have tried to like capture them. So like in order to like escape and in order so that like they will be able to like the entire tribe would be able to like get revenge in like the distant future. Like but they're only parting like the ancient ancestor list might have only uses like unique magic to like escape captivity and by traveling into like the future and might have even shown up to like the present day travel to like the present day made it to like the present day is definitely my person to them. So like the present day he might have surprisingly found out the elf like tribe like surviving even to like the present day and he might have shockingly even as he made it to like the location of like the where like the elf like tribe even lived in like the present day he might have shockingly found out that basically his like descendant like since like the ancient ancestor like just like wife might have definitely been like the wife is in fact like the Fana lookalike woman I'm considering and who was pregnant like even back then. So like I'm considering precisely her descendants might have been what eventually like through this like after all this great years had passed like her descendants eventually ended up with like the present day lich being born and like so like the ancient when like the ancient ancestor lich might have like made it to like the elf like tribe of like the present day he might have shockingly seen like very exact look alike, which might have been like the person daily. And like my personal impression as for like the attack during like the whole marriage between like Liz and his like wife when like Amber supporting like in that attack definitely that would might have been definitely the marriage of like the person daily is definitely my personal impression. So like in that attack as well, Amber supporting it might have been like an attack launched by like the person taking Augustus as well as like the person that was the novel to set the members into representing. Which was resulted in like the person which as well like losing his wife. And I'm going to bring back in like the ancient past when like the ancient ancestor this and his tribe was like attacked by like the ancient might have been attacked by like the ancient ancestor of like the person taking Augustus. Like in that attack as well, like I'm separating the ancient ancestor Liz's wife, like Panaluka, like wife might have died in that attack. But before dying, like she might have only right before dying, like she might have only given birth. It's also the fully might have been so like that way. So definitely there might have had this like whole parallel happening with like ancient ancestor, this as well basically losing his wife because of like the humans as well as like the present day lich as well. And like losing his like wife precisely because of like the humans. So like I'm going to most of my books remembers that like among like the long line of descendants of like the Fanatical like wife of like the ancient ancestor list, like one of those descendants might have been precisely not just like the percentile list, but also Asta as well would be like most likely one of like the descendant of that uh, very same like Fanaluka like wife of like the ancient ancestor, which specifically my books remembers. So like I'm also it might have been back the when like the percentile like was like the child and was like confused as to like why like these humans are like simply like attacking like the like tribe without any particular reason. Like when like that child this this percentile when he was a child and he was confused and he was even talking to Peto about it. Like it might have been precisely during that most likely during that attack that basically most likely the baby Asta who might have being precisely around that time being might have been born in like that it's like right as present day as well who might have been like a descendant among the long line of like children that were born like from like the whole ancient ancestor wife of like the ancient ancestor like uh, who had like the final like effectively my cousin Jeremy Though so like definitely the doesn't remembrances that like since like the person they fana basically a human and since like the ancient ancestor religious like wife has like the look it's like the exact same look like as like the person they fana but the thing that most likely like the ancient ancestor religious wife as well. He might have been like a human. So like I'm also saying like the human and else might have actually coexisted back then solely due to like basically back then like while the humans were like constantly attacking like the insect tribe like and the rings like the insect tribe might have been like consistent might have been forced to like consistently move around and hide all the time like and like go around like nomads and ice keeping on constantly hiding from like humans all the time suddenly so like they might have eventually hidden at like a location then flood tribe might have eventually hidden at a location that might have been close to like the case village from like that section. So like at that point, I was preparing humans from like the case village might have like one day might have found this elf tribe, but like I was preparing like for the first time like the elf tribe might have that the very first humans that were like nice to like the elf tribe might have been precisely the ancient and the humans from like the case village. It's definitely not so like that way like a whole that way like a whole bond between like the humans, ancient ancestors of humans from like the Hills village and like the ancient ancestors of like the like tribe might have happened. So like I'm remembering that way like some of like the humans from the Hills village and elf like tribe might have coexisted and lived together. Definitely my person and that might be how like eventually like the ancient ancestor like wife even ended up being like most likely a human who had like same look like as that of Anna. That's definitely my person So like definitely my person that like precisely like so like as like this entire time had passed and basically but eventually like near to like the present day when like the present day Lich and Beto were children and were wondering why why the humans were like attacking like the elf flag tribe. It's actually so like my personal impression that like it's actually during this time Asta might have been like a baby and might have been actually present in like location of like of, like the like right where like the present day and which as well as like where like children it's definitely my personal impression. So like there might have been like kind of like a huge population as well still existing to the present day as well. It's also definitely my personal impression. So like I'm considering even Yami as well might have been like present in that particular location. So like I was referring in the way that basically like Asta, Yami and Beto and Liz might be like brothers and cousins or cousins of definitely my cousin generation. These would all be like basically the record of like the long line of like descendants of like the precise wife, like finally like wife, human wife of like the ancient ancestor. This from like the long distant past. It's definitely my cousin generation. But like I was referring like the precise like wife, financial like wife of like the ancient ancestor list, like basically while she was pregnant, like she even like totally betting and totally placing her trust on basically her baby being like the precise person to like eventually like ensure to guarantee that whole that the peace between like the humans and like the elf like tribe happen eventually might be like eventually coming through with like that long line of descendants through her baby eventually ending up with like the present day Asta. That's definitely my personal reference. So like I'm also putting like especially this is my personal reference that like the what might have happened with like the whole legend from like the film past might have been precisely like the ancient ancestor list like totally like misunderstanding like the genuine intent of like wanting peace between like the humans as well as like the elves. Which like the character who eventually became like the very popular thing genuinely wanted like basically like after like the ancient ancestor list is like elf like tribe like basically being attacked after like that meeting between like that character who eventually became like the very popular thing as well as like the ancient ancestor list like who might have been like the ancient ancestor list might have been like considered as like the leader of like the elf like tribe back then. So definitely my person to remember. So like after like these two like after like this whole interaction with these like basically real soon like basically an attack from like the humans on like the elf like tribe even happening and I'm preparing the elf like tribe might have been like might have been like been able to like since they might have been like being might have been scared of humans and might have been like traveling around like nomad like for a while like they might have not been attacked by humans precisely because their whereabouts were not being able to like personally found by humans. So like I'm preparing precisely once like the capital eventually became like the very first the king approach like came to like the home place of like the elf Black tribe. At that point initially that elf Black tribe and the ancient ancestors might have been initially scared on seeing like a foreign human. So like I was preparing a human that was not from like the history list. So like at that point, but still I'm possible through their interaction, like the ancient ancestor list might and just like Fana look like whites might have had that hope that basically of like this whole interaction mutually resulting in like the peace between like the tribe and humans. So precisely because it might have been a scenario where like after like that whole interaction might have been precisely without much delay might have been when like the attacks from like humans might have happened on like the like right back then. And the separating like so like the ancient ancestors might have straight away assumed that basically that character who eventually became like the very first wizarding might have totally leaked their current whereabouts to like the and to at least that basically that cat was like a villain and he basically leaked their whereabouts to like the humans and basically this whole interactions like peaceful interaction about like these might have been his intent to like launch like an villainous and this attacks on like the elf right like but in such lines like he might have also like I'm worshiping the ancient ancestor list like after losing a lot of it like elf right through that attack like and that attack might have been precisely due to like the betrayal of like the and since I'm talking about like something like the present day Asta would be like the first person to eventually be succeeding in like becoming like the next wizard king and it was only at that point that basically like the whole finally the whole peace between like the tribe and the humans would be like even happening like that Asta would be totally using his like position as like the wizard king at that point to basically ensure that peace between like the human and his like tribe like basically especially happen. So like I'm considering that like desire, that trust and that hope that basically that um, age and the let's just like wife like put on her baby while she was pregnant, like that would be like totally coming through eventually through Asta. Once Asta would be becoming like something definitely my person theory. So like I'm considering according to my person theory, like once like the whole legend, the story of the legend actually was like a true event that happened in like the distant past, where like the ancient ancestor lists like along with like his like strongest remaining survivor, surviving like infect right various like basically might have only fused together and basically like might have turned into like that giant dark demon from like the legend and might have attacked like the claw kingdom as like a retaliation to get revenge on like the humans. Like at that point, basically that process character defeating like that process giant dark demon and that character eventually becoming like the very first of the thing. Like basically once that character very first of the thing had basically defeated that giant dark demon. And he might have done that to totally protect like the Clover kingdom from that past. It's definitely my personal emotion. So, like when like they were with Lich and just like when that giant dark demon might have been defeated, like since like my personal theory is that like it might have been like the ancient ancestor Lich and his like strong warriors like forced fused together to become that giant dark demon. Like once that giant dark demon was defeated, like they might have only gotten confused. So like right then I was different since my personal theory is that it might have been precisely like the ancient ancestor of like the person like King Augustus that might have totally the King Augustus, like the king of like the person the king of like the claw. It might have been precisely his ancestor from this precise era that might have totally betrayed like the very first of the king and the caused like the attack on like the tribe which eventually resulted in like the ancient ancestor is like totally like misunderstanding like that character who eventually became like the very first of the king and thinking that basically he had betrayed them. And that way, like the whole fighting, like the legend of like the Giant Dark Demon and like the very specific thing even happening. Like basically, Ambassador once that Janda Demon was defeated by like the very specific thing. At that point, Ambassador thing with like the ancient ancestor Lich as well as like his top warriors like and like warriors like being in the unfused state. Like at that point, Ambassador like the uh, ancient ancestor of King Augustus might have only ordered his army to like precisely capture like all of like the ancient ancestor Lich as well as all of his men and like right men. So like at that point, I'm considering like the ancient ancestor Lich alone might have had this like unique kind of magic that might have like the power to be able to like travel into like the future. So like that way to avoid captivity and that way to ensure that at least he alone would be surviving and that way so that like he would be like eventually in like the we are like traveling to the future and eventually by that way by surviving like he would be able to like finally once again get a revenge and with the hope that next time when like the ancient ancestors will be getting his revenge, he will be succeeding. Like with that or that hope, like the ancient ancestors might have specifically saved himself and might have only traveled into like the future. Might have been what exactly might have happened if the Indian is very interested. So like the minimum doesn't be impressions that like in fact the distant past with like the ancient ancestor of like the H village, ancient human ancestor of like the H village as well as like the Elflet tribe most likely having sports system like I'm differing like that way like the Elflet tribe might have totally changed to not the sole Elflet tribe but to like a elf and human tribe together and that way like the entire their entire population might have greatly increased eventually to leading to like the present is definitely my person theory. So like this might be the precise reason for like according to my person theory even while I'm interpreting like back when like that as well as the percentile is were only children like basically like their whole tribe might have been attacked by the humans by Augustus and basically his like royal bosses and everything. But like I'm interpreting even and especially while that attack was happening in that tribe, like basically uh Yami as well as like Asta might have been present in that tribe because but due to like the increase in like their population, major increase in like the population, like neither the child veteran nor like the child list might have been aware of that. It's definitely my personal experience. So like I'm interpreting maybe like maybe I'm preferring like so like maybe like Yami and Asta might be cousins or brothers is like the possibility that I'm different. So definitely I'm different what might have happened might be like in order to and in that attack I'm different like in that attack by the humans maybe like Yami might have the child Yami might have fought in that attack and might have caused might have had like an injury to his like head and basically might have caused like a memory loss and that might be the reason for like Yami not having like possibly might not be having like the memories of his childhood. Was definitely my birth remember. So like I'm very ever since Yami remembers like Yami might have been present in like might have been like an orphan in like on like some town. It's definitely my person to remember and that. Okay, so like definitely my person to remember is that like Asta and Yami's like parents might have been like an elf and like a human. Where like I'm remembering the mother might have been like the elf, like while the father might have been like a human. So like I'm remembering while the force attack from the humans who are happening, and I'm remembering like they might have tried to like escape with their babies, and I'm remembering it might have not just been like Yami alone that might have been badly injured, like and yeah, that injury, even though Yami might have only lost his memory and was departing, like the injuries of like the parents of Yami and Asta might have been like extremely kind of fatal kind of injuries. So like they might have been about to die. So like I was departing before dying, like they might have feel desperate to like save the children. So like I was departing as they were running away, and they might have only also heard about like the whole story or like the legend about like how like the humans that coexisted with like are basically descendants of like the long line of descendants of like the ancient ancestors of from like the Haitian present day Haitian village. So like I'm reporting they both might have set off and ran off from like ran off during that like the set and goal to like basically before dying like to get their children to safety. But like at that point I was reporting but like while they were trying to escape like an attack from like the humans like might have totally cause like basically them to get split up. So like that way I'm supposed to protect and this all this might have happened in like the middle of the night as well. It's also definitely not something very interesting. So like I'm supposed to protect precisely as like the elf like mother might have precisely succeeded in like taking like the baby Asta, getting like the baby Asta precisely to like the Hayes village and she might have found this church and like in the church like she might have shockingly seen like this mysterious baby like lying on the doors of like the church. So like I'm delivering she might have decided to like coincidentally and that's totally happening coincidentally and that might be that lady might have been perfectly especially members in the rendition while so like she might have like totally felt maybe relieved and like she might have straight away decided to like basically uh, uh, place her son like the baby as well alongside like the baby and she might have totally felt like mother like might have totally knocked from the doors of like the of that protest jobs and might have quickly ran away. And that might have been what might have happened because like she still might be in that shock and fear of like having like humans attack like the elf tribe, human processing tribe that basically she might still and currently during that time like the human elf processing tribe might have still continued on their nomadic phase precisely because of like the repeated attacks even after like that basically or by the humans on like the human processing triangle. Definitely my person to payment. So like and those were like even in like the person like she might have still had doubts concerning to like the doubts concerning to like the humans in like the person like his village that basically she might have her being an elf but like might have been like afraid of like so basically she might have decided to run away like leave the baby Asta there in front of like the church door and basically she might have ran away. Definitely, what might have happened is definitely my cousin Jeremy. So like I'm suffering, and like along the way as she ran tried to like escape, like she might have like succumbed to like the injuries and might have died off. It's definitely my cousin Jeremy. So like that might be how Stan Yami's mother might have died, and the same thing might have happened with like yeah Stan Yami's father, like who might have been like a human, and he might have like because like them due to like that like from like human like might or them having like their getting split up like about reporting like Yami's father might have that been also badly injured and he might have carried Yami all the way to like some other town and basically might have so like my vegetarian questions that like in the case of Yami, like Yami's father like might have not been able to like get Yami to like any home or anything like since like he got split up with like just like wife and like wife and the only in the case of Yami's father like he might have died along the way so like he might have died when reaching some town so like I'm wondering in that town like Yami the child Yami with like his memory loss might have only been like been all by himself. So like above different, he might have the in Yami's case, it might have been totally different. While like the baby has got like adopted taken care of by the father and sister Lily, and considering in Yami's case, it might have been totally different. Like Yami might have so basically that Yami might have totally lived off the streets and basically somehow struggled to stay into eventually somehow food might have been the ultimate hunger. Yami might have been going through such extreme hunger, and food might have been everything for Yami back then, and that might be the reason for even as and Yami struggled might have struggled his way to growing up from that point on. So definitely my personal theory about it. And this might be the third reason for even while the King Julius even before this thing Julius even became the resulting when Julius initially saw Yami itself Yami even asking for Julius for food in exchange for agreeing to become one of the match knights joining the match knight squad might be precisely because of this reason Yami having lived through his life from childhood by going through such extreme poor situations and conditions and going through such extreme hunger and all that is definitely my personal theory and pressure. So my personal theory and pressure is that precisely because Asta is in a way Asta is the descendant precisely because Asta is in fact a descendant of the ancient ancestors wife Pana look human wife precisely because of that reason and precisely because the because of Asta Asta might have such exceptional will and determination and that whole mindset to never give up. So precisely because of this reason, what might have happened might be precisely since the ancient the day the ancient ancestor in along with the strong barriers in the uh, in from the Elflag tribe in the distant past might have in order to get revenge and in order to retaliate they might have used their unique magic and use the whole match stone in place the match stone stone tablets and use their unique magic to most likely summon the spirit of the giant dark demon, and that way the giant dark demon might have possessed all of them, and that way they might have all fused together to turn into a physical form of this giant dark demon. Might have been what might have happened, especially in my working with representation. I'm also saying when that process capture eventually became the first the king defeated the giant dark demon monster and so at that point the giant ancestor and all of them also remaining strong elf warriors got unfused. At that point, I was different. The spirit of the giant dark demon might have back to left back and escaped to its whole dimension or portal which it might have stayed and remain for the great number of years to the future. And those different eventually in long distance with the Asta being born and basically eventually precisely when Asta was having that whole battle in the beginning when when was the precise situation when Asta all of a sudden through some sort of a portal basically Asta basically I think Asta basically got this grimoire as well as dual sword which was different the this not dual sword but I think Asta only got a single sword initially and his grimoire five claw grimoire and I was my person theory is that this five claw grimoire and the swords might have definitely belong to that giant dark demon spirit from the distant past, from the legend, especially my person during prison. So after all this great number of years, especially because Hasta being a descendant of the elf human tribe, and basically precisely because of Hasta exceptional will and determination of that Hasta had and was departing the giant dark demon spirit who might have been living in that form, existing and living in that in its dimension or portal for the great number of years, might have decided, might have totally felt Asta as his his best candidate to for him to possess and grant its power. Might have been what it might have done. So it might have that Xandar demon spirit might have precisely chosen Asta, and that might be precisely how the precise swords as well as the precise five law framework, which actually might have belonged to the giant dark demon from the legend, which even the ancient ancestor list basically on seeing it basically it's extremely disturbed as to as the possessing something that has doesn't deserve, but when in actuality it might have been something that even the spirit of the giant dark demon spirit itself precisely selecting and choosing as that to be his to be and finding Asta deserving to of its power might be the present sole reason for Asta in like the present day even having that surprise fight for Grimwar as well as the demon sword as well. Definitely my personal impression. So my personal impression that initially like that dark giant dark demon spirit might have only given as a single sword because like initially like that giant dark demon spirit might have felt that Asta is only deserving of like a single sword and then eventually like as kept on its like will and determination maybe like the gender agreement it might have been totally impressed with Asta that it might have decided to like eventually give like the other other sword as well to Asta and eventually it might have also like given Asta access to like Asta's like quick throw powers as well might have been what might have exactly happened and from this point is also recommended my personal impression also my positive impression is that like as for like how exactly like the baby might have totally ended up in front of like the doors of like the church of like the priest in like the days like I'm considering might definitely be like the long line of descendant of like the very first Caesar king. Is definitely my positive impression. So like it would be like a total parallel how exactly how like spirit of like the giant dark demon from like the ancient past precisely chose after to be its like a rightful on next owner. But separating the precisely like the spirit of like the very first Caesar king and his like fight folklore Grimmer might have precisely eventually saw as like basically it's like would be like on top of like precisely because would be like it's like a long line of descendants and basically would be like the uh his only descendant that he might have like his spirit might have felt like the very first the king's like spirit might have felt that it's deserving of this like power maybe the precise reason for like the fourth floor Grimoire precisely choosing as this is like has worthy of it like fourth floor Grimoire power. This is definitely my personal impression. So like such a parallel might have been what might have actually happened. It's also my personal theory and present. So like exactly like how like multiple parallels might have happened. Exactly like how like the precise person who might have totally been like the reason for like precisely the ancient ancestor lists like wise that might have been like the ancient ancestor of like the present day king Augustus of like the Clover kingdom like was departing like the present day lists like the wise that as well and like wise like that as well would be like the precise result of like that was like the present day lists like wise that might have been precisely from the orders of like the present day king Augustus as well. It's definitely my personal favorite. And also like the parallels with like the ancient and Sterling as well as like the this long line of descendants eventually resulting in like the present day like having like the very same exact look alike as like the ancient ancestor like and not only like the lookalike but they both having the parallels with like them both having their having their wives that dying like precisely due to like the ancient ancestor of like King Augustus as well as the person taking Augustus like basically these would be all the parallels like all sorts of like parallels that might have happened so far in like the show. It's definitely my personal very much. So like my personal impression was that like since like the ancient ancestors might not only use its like magic to like only defeated by like the very first thing like basically like the ancient ancestors might not only use its like magical powers to like only escape and travel into like the future. That act of like the ancient ancestors might not only disappointed like that disappointed like the spirit of like the giant dark demon monster and might he might not only that spirit might not only seen like the ancient ancestor like as like a coward. So like that might be the reason for like after like even after all these years have passed and basically even in like the present syndrome personally only think like the ancient ancestor like would definitely be alive and present even in like the present day as well. Still like for like the giant demon like basically precisely not choosing like the ancient ancestor lich and instead choosing Asta instead of like the ancient ancestor lich will be precisely because of like him being like totally disappointed and unimpressed with like the ancient ancestor lich with the like cowardly escape which he might have viewed it like which like the giant demon spirit might have seen lich's escape the ancient ancestor lich's future fight future traveling escape as and it will be probably because of this reason that basically the gender demon monster spirit might have successfully chosen Asta over him. It's definitely my personal impression. So like especially because of this theory, I'm personally only predicting most likely definitely like eventually once like all the magic stones would be placed once like dice the midnight sun would be succeeding in like placing all the stone tablets and basically would be trying to like that way summon like the spirit of like the giant dark demon. I'm considering at that point like the giant dark demon refusing to like basically to show up or like to grant its powers like I'm considering Asta would be or even to the very end Asta the giant dark demon monster would be like refusing to basically leave Asta and would be like deciding to like would be totally always constantly would be like impressed with like answers like will Asta's will and determination that it would prefer and it would decide like the giant dark demon monster and would always prefer to like basically stay by Asta's side and especially because of this reason I'm different when eventually like the Eye of the Midnight Sun would be like succeeding in its role and eventually the history from like the legend would be repeating itself like I'm think it would be repeating yet like it would be repeating in like a totally different manner when I'm putting eventually for like once like all the magic stones would be gathered and once like the whole summoning magic would might be performed by like the ancient ancestor like at that at that point like the ancient ancestor like might shockingly realize that basically the giant of demon spirit like refuses like to basically grant its power to like the ancient ancestor list. So like at that point I'm preparing like the ancient ancestor list, basically figuring out some sort of like another different powerful demon like giant dark demon that which would be like even way more stronger than like the giant dark demon from like the legend. So like I'm preparing like the ancient ancestor list like around that time like figuring out like frantically searching and eventually finding out and figuring out about like the existence of like another even more or like giant dark demon. And it would be that precise giant dark demon that like the ancient and leaks along with this like third eye would be most likely like summoning using like the magic stone at that point and basically them all would be like already using and turning into that precise extremely even more awkward like different dark giant demon monster. Definitely my person today. So like I'm considering the final showdown fight would be like the fight between like that precise awkward demon monster versus like Asta and his like strength of like the uh demon within like the dark demon with from like the legend within Asta. It's like the kind of eventual final showdown fight scenario that I'm putting in which like Asuka will be eventually offering and defeating even the or like demon of like the ancient ancestor like and basically that way Asuka becoming saving like the Asuka being like the only person to be able to like save like the Lord Kingdom and that way Asuka being and at that point after being crowned that's like the thing is like the scenario that I'm looking for. Also, like my person Darian Russian as for like how exactly like the baby, might have ended up on like the in front of like the top of like the church in like case village. I'm just wondering like that's exactly how exactly that might have happened. First of all, my person Darian where like the very first the thing might have been in a novel. So like like actual father might have been like the long line of descendant of like that very first the thing. It's definitely my person Darian. So like. Um, he might have totally like Jonas' actual father might have totally also married like a noble, which definitely my person to remember. So like I was saying, he might have had like a secret relation with like another woman who might have not been neither a noble nor a royal. So like I was saying, Jonas, once like Jonas was born, like he might have totally wanted to keep that hidden from like keep that hidden, like keep it a secret. So like I'm saying, he might have totally maybe even told like maybe his servant to like totally get rid of. He might have told his servant to like maybe to get rid of that, and about the protecting like his servant woman like that woman might have totally uh might have had like the heart to like basically like do something like that. So like about the protecting, she might have precisely coincidentally might have totally brought like the baby, precisely to like the H village and precisely might have just coincidentally precisely might have left like the baby, in front of like the church door in like the H village. And that might be how like the baby, might have ended up in front of like the in front of like the door of like the church in like H village is definitely my internet. And this might have potentially happened before like the baby Asta was brought by Asta's like mother to and was placed alongside like the baby, in front of like the church door is definitely my personal impression. So like my personal impression is that like in short like this might be how like the five floor grimoire of like the giant dark demon from like the legend might have eventually chosen as by like the fourth floor grimoire of like the very first wizard who defeated that giant dark monster like they really eventually chose it's definitely my person to remember. Yeah, so like definitely my person to remember but like Asta and Yami having a lot of similarity would be totally having to do with like Asta as well as Yami being like blood related brothers, like which like they would only be finding out only like a very distant future. Is my personal prediction. And like considering it would just be Asta and Yami alone, but like Asta, Yami, as well as Lich, as well, present day Lich as well as Beto would be like the present day descendant of like the child of like the ancient ancestor links and like the Pana look like wife of the like. So and my cousin referencing that like so in a way while Asta and Yami would be like brother and brothers like basically like the relation between like Lich as well as Beto when compared to like Asta and Yami would be that of like not like a cousin like relation, and that might be the precise reason for like while obviously the Sunday look exactly like the ancient ancestor looks like the case of Beto as well, like Beto possesses like that Beto as well is able to like possess like that unique power of key, which exactly as well as Yami possesses this like rare power of key like this like Beto as well possesses like maybe precisely because of all this or precisely because of this exact reason is definitely not going to mention. Also like my Bulgarian snap for like in like the present day like Fana who looks like the exact look like of like the ancient related like white. And also bring that to like present day Fana even ending up in like the Diamond Kingdom would so and solely have to do with like somewhere along like the ancestry of Fana like uh basically one of like the human ancestors of like Fana basically might have definitely decided to like leave like the elf human coexistence tribe to because of like the consistent attack from like the royals and nobles and so basically they might have decided like escape and like that ancestor might have so like basically my personal impressions that like she might have that ancestor of Fana might have been like in a situation where like she might have not been able to like escape into like the haste village. So like I'm considering like in such a situation we might have totally hope and place the trust on like that for hopefully there existing like other villages or at some parts of like the world where like people humans will be like as welcoming as like the humans in like the haste village. So like I'm considering solely because of that reason like they might have totally taken the risk that and might have totally taken the risk and head off to like some different human country like and might have ended up in this like human country and luckily maybe she might have either she might have not been harmed or like even if she might have been harmed like she might have like, they might have not taken her life. So like I'm considering then she might have given birth there and basically that line of descendants eventually might have ended up with like Fana being born there, which that look at the human country eventually ended up being like the present day diamond country. Is like might be like the situation or like scenario that might have happened is definitely my version to question. Okay, so like definitely my question to impression right now as for like after interacting with this like dark demon and this dark demon even telling Asta that she has been with like Asta within that time and considering like two positive. One positive basically like this dark demon which would be like the giant dark demon of like the five floor grimmer of Asta. That demon might have entered Asta's body precisely when like back in like the underwater temple when Asta first gained access to the powers of like the fifth floor of the Asta Grimmer. Maybe it might be at that point that basically like uh, the at that point that the giant dark demon might have like passed on from like the Grimmer into like integrating into like Asta's body. It's definitely and that might be how like Asta would be interacting with that dark demon in like the person. It's definitely one positive that I'm considering. The other positive is basically that basically it might be narrow. Like I'm considering like that dark demon from the past, like after like it recognizing and finding Asta and basically it gaining interest in Asta and that way like basically from like the it's like from that dark demon from its dimension or its portal, like deciding to like give Asta like a five flower grimmer as well as its sword And then about the but maybe that dark demon might have decided to like basically to spend time beside Asta, like observing Asta, because like it might have taken like the dark demon might have taken an absolute curiosity and interest towards Asta. So like in order to take a demon form, it might have totally focused like the bird narrow, and that way like it might have been always been around like Asta, as like the bird narrow. It's definitely my person to remember. So like I'm also predicting maybe like the demon that Asta will be seeing and interacting to right now would be like basically the demon within like Nero, basically using its power to like basically like visually like show Asta. It's like that demon's like true form that within Nero. It's like the probably that I'm remembering. I'm also remembering. Okay, so like definitely my personal impression right now is that like even though like the dark demon wants to take over like Asta's body, like I'm just preferring Asta totally sticking to Asta's decision to like the to basically fight Ladros and win against Ladros using Asta's own strength. And I'm also preferring that way Asta like rejecting out the like using Asta is willfully using its like consciousness like pushing out like the uh, dark demon away from his consciousness, like the scenario that I'm looking at. So like at that point, I was separating the dark kind of like transformation of Asta would be returning back to like Asta like normal body, like scenario that I'm looking at. And then I'm also putting Asta trying so giving it to like absolute everything and trying to like fight against Ladros, but it simply wouldn't be possible at all. Like I'm also putting Ladros like easily. Only like no matter how much Asta struggled, like Ladros easily or for easily Ladros easily offering as the like scenario that I'm offering. And in the process, I'm considering Ladros this is like realistic ways in order to make Astra suffer even more. Like I'm considering Ladros most likely even attacking maybe like Noel and maybe like some considering like the Noel and maybe others like this. Then considering like Ladros totally deciding to like and maybe attacking even Fana or Mark. And basically I'm considering Ladros most likely not just only make Asta suffer, like Ladros most likely trying to deciding to instead basically take the life of like the people who are like closest to Asta in front of Asta's eyes and basically that way make Asta suffer and then to take Asta's like so like in such a manner I'm considering Ladros eventually charge straight up towards like attacking towards like trying to attack and take the life of either Mark, Fana or no, it's just like scenario that I was given. So like at that point I'm also putting Asta totally finally deciding that basically so like in order to protect his like friends like he has no other choice but he definitely doesn't currently after coming to that realization and acceptance that currently he simply doesn't have the strength like currently he totally lacks the strength to be able to like protect his friends and if he doesn't like seek the help of like the demon like if he doesn't like seek the help of like the dark demon then he won't be able to like save his friends and his friends will be right now with the time so like was the friends because of that like Wesley as Ladros will be about to attack and take the life of like one of his three like Mark, Pana or like Noel. That very last second I'm was the not for us that to pass out as that only throwing him the right in like the center of it like basically as Ladros will be about to attack them so number bring so that way like Ladros was attacked especially landing on Asta instead and after straight away passing out it's like the scenario that I'm bring and straight away that way like at that point like the moment after passed out like basically straight away like that dark demon like taking over Asta like physical body it's like the scenario that I'm bring and from that point I'm bring like a totally different process Asta like as that would be like totally controlled and possessed by like the demon is like fully controlled and possessed by like the dark demon is like the scenario that I'm doing and using that power of the dark demon especially if it's like the dark demon is what I'm also bring at that point to like take full control over as that body and both they're only bring the dark demon like totally acting so totally extremely against like after Cap and basically like in such an extremely villanistic way like the dark demon using it like exceptional powers like and after story like basically it totally is the offering and defeating like Ladros and basically like making Ladros suffer and into like finally taking Ladros' life as well. Especially my person to remember. So like I'm also bringing like Noel Sana and Mark's like all of them watching in shock as like basically they will be like witnessing and never before seen villainous nature out of as that without like them being able to realize what's going on. It's definitely my person to remember. So like I'm also bringing as like the dark demon controlled Asta would be taking Ladros' life on those different like Asta once again going unconscious and when Asta would be like gaining back its consciousness Asta won't be like Well, and my question to Ramprashad was like when after that like once like after will be gaining back his consciousness like basically after won't be like the demon won't be like presented in after would be what after would be feeling like after would be feeling that his actions normal self. But considering the next time like after would be having to like face off against like another strong villain like at that point once again like this like the scenario that I'm considering is once again for the dark demon trying to like take over and control the entirety of Asta but like Asta's body and mind then but like at that point I was putting Asta totally realizing what's going on and Asta totally like struggling his way into like using his like absolute will to like basically push like the demon aside and do so like basically at that point I was separating like the demon totally like finally coming to an agreement and to deal with like Asta because like Asta will at that point would be so extremely strong that Asta would be having like that strong power of like that absolute will to be able to like push that demon away from like Asta's consciousness and body. So like I'm considering at that point for maybe even like the dark demon to get a bit scared. So like I'm considering the dark demon trying to make a deal with Asta that basically it would grant its like powers and superior powers and strength to Asta in exchange for like Asta not pushing it out of its body and in exchange for Asta letting the demon and dark demon stay on Asta's body. Like the dark demon will be granting Asta its like superior power and everything. While like at the same time Asta would be able to like while like at the same time like the demon would be won't be able to like take control of Asta's mind. Like Asta's mind would like at that point in the future Asta's mind would be like remaining as Asta's mind while it would be only like the body of Asta alone that would be like would be like given like would be having like the transformation and would be given like the powers of like the demon superior powers of like the demon which like would be Asta would be totally be able to like use to as the favor. Uh, so basically, like eventually, like it's exchange for like letting like the demon stay in Asta's body, and that way, like the demon would be badly desiring to stay in like a physical body than rather than remain as a spirit. So, like in exchange for like letting the demon, dark demon stay on Asta's body, like basically, Asta being granted like the superior powers of like the demon. Just like the scenario, eventual scenario that ended with only copying and my person. Okay, so like definitely my taking care and direction right now as for like as the current major power upgrade of like as the like demon dweller sword as well as like the takeover of like the demon within like most likely within like as the grimoire being able to like turn Asta into like a vessel into it like vessel basically giving Asta all that major power upgrade and so it's separating like even though all this power upgrade of Asta was solely due to like the interference and helping out of like the Queen of Witches and so separating the very next power of that Asta would be getting would be precisely would be connected to Asta's like, main sword, which is like the Demon Slayer sword. So like I'm considering the current power of Slayer of Asta is totally connected to Asta's like sub sword, like not Asta's main sword. Like the Demon Dweller sword, definitely there is like the sub sword of Asta. Like the main sword is like the of Asta and Prospering would be like the sword Asta uses with his right hand. It would be like the huge sword, the Demon Slayer sword. So as for like the eventual power upgrade that next power upgrade that Asta would be eventually getting at some point in like the future, that would be precisely connected to like the power upgrade that like the main demon slayer sword of Asta would be getting, which would be like a power upgrade that Asta and preparing Asta to achieve on his own rather than him receiving a help from somebody else for him to be able to like to grow in his like strength is definitely my personal impression for like the future. Okay, so like definitely my personal impression right now that like even by Ladros so we're totally feeling that that totally keeping up with like as stuff like extreme power upgrade that has that got solely due to like the help of like the queens. But the thing like still in actuality like the situation would be like Ladros being at like such an extreme heavy disadvantage in his fight against Asta because like specifically because of like the queen not only like sharply increasing like the intensity and power of like the anti-magical power of like the Asta's like demon dweller sword, but also increase like its efficiency and in like usability of like the anti-magical powers of like the demon dweller sword. But also on top of that, like with like the queen also even more helping Asta out by like turning Asta into like a vessel for like the dark demon as well, or the line within most likely within like the five floor or like the demon dweller sword to be able to like pass on to Asta and basically turn use as as it like better that way. Like basically they're definitely seeing like an extreme sharp upgrade in like Asta speed as well. That way, like coupling these two already like Ladros like being at such an extreme disadvantage when compared to like the compared to like the Asta compared to like the strength that Asta possessed before like the team helping out Asta when like Asta only had like way to inferior levels of strength of like his anti-magic coupling that with like an inferior levels of like speed as well, which would be like totally which was like the precise reason for like Ladros after like stealing Panav's power was able to like swiftly be able to like attack and stand like before Asta would be able to like would even be able to like think of retaliating against like Ladro. It's definitely my personal impression. But with this current like extreme helping out by the queen of Asta and that way like that's only because of that reason Asta gaining like all the exceptional superior powers like with like the strengthened up, extremely sharpened up like anti-magical powers and basically coupling that with like the sharpening and increasing and the speed of like the Asta speed as well. Coupling that with the fact that basically Asta is not even a magic user, and hence like Ladros even having like even more of a disadvantage with like Ladros not even being able to like use this like absorption power at all against like Asta because of that reason. So coupling all these reasons like Ladros currently is like fighting off against Asta at such an extreme disadvantage, and hence why like Ladros face is like fate, and especially since like it's mainly like the demon that's like controlling totally and fully, almost like totally and fully according to my person theory is like currently mostly almost fully controlling Asta's mind and body. Like I'm just referring to such because of this reason I'm going to get all the correcting my person theory for like the last 3 months to like not show any mercy at all to like Ladros, and hence why without showing any mercy take the life of like Ladros. It's like and that way like Ladros like facing like a suffering that is like the eventual scenario right now that I'm just only working as for like the conclusion of like the current Ladros work is like the demon focusing as the fight. It's definitely my personal impression that I'm still thinking on this. Also, like definitely my personal impression that they usually also on top of like the extreme power of hate that Asta currently got solely due to like the help of the queen. Like also like the fact that like the queen even did like a blood transfusion to Asta with her own blood, especially because like the queen herself has like all sorts of like unique and mystical powers. Uh, with which like she even treated like Asta's like the wounds in Asta's arm as well as like the mystery about like the queen being able to like survive for so long. Like as if like queen is almost immortal. Like they really like definitely this like whole blood transfusion act of like the queen would have like a lot more extreme relevance to eventually and an extremely important role and a lot of relevance it's going to have in like the eventual distant future. It's definitely my personal theory. When it comes to like Asta getting like even more greater and superior power of creating, it's definitely my personal theory. Gaining some sort of like unique, even though it would have anything to do with magic, like Asta still having like gaining like all sorts of like unique special benefits, like precisely due to like in, having that uh, precisely due to like Queen's act of like the precise blood transfusion. It's definitely my personal theory. Also, like the cleaner the remuneration is that like regardless of whether it was like better or like fun and like the task that might have caused like Asta's like a recent incurable injury to like Asta's both of Asta's arms, which eventually like resulted in like basically the queen alone being able to like be able to having the power to be able to like to be able to like cure that incurable kind of Asta's injury. Like I'm referring in like especially because of some referring in like the distant future about the road departing after once again having like some villain like maybe it would be like while Beto would be making his return like in the future or like maybe it would be through Raya in like the distant future like anyway in like the distant future I'm totally correcting for us that like once again gets this very same exact extremely difficult to heal kind of like incurable kind of like injury once again after getting that injury and I'm also referring in like the future when after get this like same sort of injury, it will be more than just two of us. Those different maybe after will be getting the very same exact sort of injury all throughout our body. like the scenario that I'm preparing for like distant hero. But I'm preparing at that point for Asta to be able to like heal all that injury simultaneously right away by Asta himself. And I'm preparing the best way to like how Asta would be able to do that. I'm preparing it would totally have the reason would be solely this exact reason that basically this exact act of like the queen using blood transfusion on Asta. Precisely that way, like Asta would be gaining the very same ability as Queen to be able to like so that like at that point in like instant future when Asta gets that very same tough to heal kind of injury, like Asta would be able to like cure all that injuries by himself simultaneously and instantly. It's like the scenario that I'm going to bring that way, that being like one major benefit that Asta would be getting through this like blood transfusion through the Queen is like an eventual possibility and that I'm personally totally putting in as a future introduction. Okay, so like definitely I'm pushing to the introduction right now. It's just like Ladros is like stolen powers of Pana turning Ladros. So it's certainly superiorly stronger when compared to like the fiery powers that Pana had. With using which like Pana was only able to like create fire in like the box of this area while currently Ladros can is able to like create like waves of lava laterally so extremely superiorly for when compared to Pana that basically Ladros can even create like waves of lava and spread it all throughout like the post offices. And for differing is like the post offices being currently being in such an extreme critical situation, but like the waves of lava is being possibly being able to like take the life of all the humans and wildlife and even like to destroy the clean of the post offices. But like the box office is being in such an extremely critical state, like I'm considered only for thing definitely for Noel, definitely getting like an exceptional and extreme superior power upgrade. It's like the scenario that I'm working on. Definitely, even though it wouldn't be at all like on the levels of the power upgrade of Asta skill and those everything, no, it should only get like an extreme power upgrade real soon with like see the intensity levels of like a power upgrade that I'm literally pressing and expecting out of like Noel to for Noel to gain soon in order for Noel to even be able to like save everyone from everyone like the and that of like the cost of which is including the people and like wildlife and everything being like uh, dying and getting destroyed by the waves of lava of like Ladros is like the scenario that I'm considering. So like I'm considering either by the time like Asta would be defeating Ladros, it would be either by the time Asta would be defeating Ladros or it would be while like the Asta versus Ladros fight would be progressing a bit further like I'm considering without much delay like and no one like basically desperately struggling her way into like eventually learning like some most likely learning like some sort of an absolutely brand new water element like superiorly powered like magical attack using with which like using with which only no one and no one and will be able to like basically save like the entirety of like the box offices and that way be able to like put out like the waves of lava spreading throughout like, the box offices is like the scenario that about which is scenario that about is only putting another so yeah, so like the name of the Duran version right now is for like the giant dark demon from like the legend of like the fight between like the first king and the giant dark demon. And also friends that giant dark demon might not definitely wield that like both like the demon slayer and demon dweller. So but even when like the demon dweller sword has like anti-magical properties that and I think like demon slayer sword as well has like anti-magical properties. Yet like my public theory is that like also my public theory is that like that giant dark demon monster might have been like even created through basically the through basically like the ancestor list as well as like the top warriors of like the and like right basically like you letting out their magic maybe to like by like like allowing like the spirit of like the dark demon to like basically possess them for their body and like that way them possibly even fusing and basically eventually turning into one single giant dark demon. That might have been how like that giant dark demon from like the legend might have been created. It's definitely my personal generation. So like especially this is like the exact tribe of people that are like loved by mana and personally all different things. Definitely all of those exact warriors that fused together might have had like superior mana. So like about the different even that giant dark demon from like the legend might on using like the giant dark demon that might have created might have had such a superior mana that basically even like the anti-magical properties of like both like the demon dweller, Artemis, the demon slayer sword, like draining out like the mana of like the giant dark demon monster still would be like far too insignificant when comparing to like the actual two extreme levels of like mana contained within like that which that giant dark demon monster might have totally possessed. Definitely my possessed the emerald. So like this might have been what like maybe so like that giant dark demon monster might have been also able to like on top of using like the demon dweller and demon slayer sword like it might have been also been able to like use magical attacks as well. So like so this might have been exactly what like precisely the Queen of Witches currently might have expected because like even while the Queen of Witches like initially realizing that basically after not having any magic like but still like the Queen of Witches like totally recognized the two swords, like Demon Slayer and Demon Sweller swords of Asta. So like I'm considering maybe the Queen of Witches might have thought like through her helping Asta or like maybe Asta might because of those two swords like that which belong to like that giant dark demon monster. And precisely because my consider that if the Queen of Witches like might have definitely existed even from that time, that era as well. So it might have lived from that era to like the present day. So like the Witches might have known all about like the history about like the like tribe using to basically turn themselves and into this giant dark demon monster. So like precisely because of that, like I'm also talking precisely because like the Witches are recognizing the two like very exact sort of like that giant dark demon with like in like Asta position like I'm considering the Queen of Witches might have totally like suspected that basically Asta might be like a descendant of like that precise elf like tribe. Because like the elf like tribe and humans from like human ancestors from like the cage village might not only coexisted back then like so even while Asta would be not having like elf like ears like still because of that reason like the universes might have only suspected the possibility of Asta actually being like a long descendant of like that precise elf and human tribe it's definitely my personal impression. But like since like even after like Asta fighting with like even after the Queen of Witches even giving all the power of death to Asta still Asta keeping on fighting while not possessing any magical powers at all. Would be like the precise reason for like the Queen of Witches like actually feeling that basically Asta is not special. That basically unlike the demon and that might be the point when like the Queen of Witches might have realized that basically since might have felt that basically since like the since she might have believed that basically the elf black tribe and since like the elf black tribe had like exceptional superior mana each of like the elf black tribe would be having exceptional superior mana so like the parents since like especially since like Asta like along the universe would be like might not only thought that basically Asta by this point in time like Asta would be like a long distance descendant of like the ancient ancestor of like the like tribe but separating the as the tribe and human look so but separating like the queen of Witches might have not expected like that something might have been blocking like the mana of Asta and like the queen of Witches while helping Asta out like might have only thought that basically maybe her helping out might unleash that exceptional mana of like the ancient ancestor like right levels of like exceptional mana out of Asta might have been what like the winner with the thought like so on helping Asta out and still the winner still realizing that Asta has absolutely no magic at all. So at that point the winner might not only assume that Asta won't won't be like a is not like a descendant of like that elf like tribe and human tribe from the past from the ancient past is definitely a positive emergence. But in actuality, my positive is that like the Renovations would definitely be wrong. That basically Asta would in fact be genuinely be like the descendant, the long line of the long descendants of like the present day descendants of like the even the of like the son or like the child of like the both like the ancient ancestor like and like the his wife who resembles Hannah. It's definitely my personal emergence. It's like the ancient ancestor and my cousin theory that we will specific about like the ancient and the like being like the Elf tribe and while like the Elf tribe all of like the Elf tribe would be precisely having like exceptional mana like but still it would be precisely because like the ancient and the religious wife was like a human that had like created the semblance of mana was in fact like a human at human while human were like susceptible to basically even rarely, still humans are susceptible to having absolutely no mana at all. So it will be that human side of the ancestry from this and the ancient ancestor of Jesus Christ that basically uh, would be the reason for certainly that trait eventually falling upon the human side trait eventually falling upon Asta was Asta having no magic at all would be solely due to that reason while the truth would be that Asta would be definitely genuinely the descendant of the ancient ancestor and its wife is definitely my personal impression. So which might be the precise reason for the Queen of Wishes even in the current present feeling that Asta is not even after her thinking out still Asta doesn't have any magic still Asta doesn't have any magic at all Asta is not special the Queen for the Queen of Wishes to even say that and sing in such a manner would be precisely because of this reason and because Asta is not special Asta is special. That would only have to do with the Queen of Ages. Still thinking that basically because Asta doesn't have any magic, Asta is that same rare shape that doesn't have any magic at all. Asta would be able to use the demon dweller and the demon slayer sword, which has anti-magic properties that would be training one the use of own magic precisely because Asta doesn't have any magic at all. Asta would be special if that would make Asta special in a way so that Asta would be able to use both those demon dweller and demon slayer and magical swords with its maximum efficiency. So this might have been what the Queen of Witches might have thought and realized this definitely my personal emerge. Okay, so definitely my personal impression right now is that I basically started giving Ladros basically destroying the stones on Ladros forehead as well as just so I'm preferring these would be the exact mage stones and right now my personal impression is that mage stones would be totally different from the mad stones that basically the Eye of the Midnight Sun it's definitely my personal impression. So magic stones, on the other hand, above the ring would be unbreakable kind of would contain some sort of exceptionally powerful mana within those stones that would be making them unbreakable. That's definitely my personal impression. So so definitely, but still, I'm considering that when the ancient ancestor had showed up to to the Diamond Kingdom in the past and basically had taken Fana back then definitely he might have suddenly showed up to the Time Kingdom precisely in search for an actual magic stone that might have existed with somewhere within the Time Kingdom and he might have most likely even taken that retrieved and taken back that magic stone as well that day. It's also my personal impression. So my personal impression that because of this sole reason I don't I'm also preparing for the eye of the right now personally preparing for the eye of the midnight sun to never uh, try to capture Mars or anything solely due to it now being revealed that the stones on the forehead and just of not just ladder but also Mars as well with that maybe we just need stones which will have nothing to do with the magic stones that the midnight sun are. It's definitely my personal impression. Okay, so definitely my personal impression right now, but the fight over and Asta desperate to want treatment and Asta has thing basically was preparing for it to be precisely Marian with the attitude that would be precisely treating and healing Asta. Just the scenario that I was currently preparing right now. Okay, so definitely my personal impression right now with the Queen of Witches all of a sudden showing up to the scene and was preparing two more things. I thought the Queen of Witches would be for maintaining her extreme selfish nature even after Asta and crew basically put their lives on their line lives on the line and protected her purchase cost of the witches and everything still the Queen of Witches ungratefully being extremely selfish and still the Queen of Witches initially itself had her eyes on on precisely Asta's grimoire and swords I think because of that and considering the first considering and considering it's the Queen of Witches right now that only take advantage of Asta basically calming down and returning back to its normal just to precisely quickly launch some sort of a powerful attack on Asta on the Asta who's has to charge down and is totally unprepared and totally doesn't have has to the possession of the demon temporarily leaving Asta basically the Queen of this is trying to totally take advantage of that opportunity to precisely use some sort of a powerful magic and attack Asta to that way potentially steal away Astra's demon dweller and demon slayer sword. This is one possibility that I'm looking for. So if the Queen of Witches even steals the sword, like I'm talking, the Queen of Witches would have some sort of a strategy. Which isn't like I'm talking, even though the Queen of Witches would be exceptionally powerful, still for like the Queen of Witches, still for the Queen of Witches to be afraid of like the dual attack, combined attack of like the Ice Domination as well as the Diamond Kingdom, and since like the Queen of Witches was afraid to the point of like basically even relying on seeking the help of Asta by healing Asta's arms, like because of that, like my positive relationship that the Queen of Witches won't be having that level of like exceptional mana to be able to like handle the the hand to be able to for her to like be able to like handle like the demon dweller and demon slayer sword. So like I'm wondering the Queen of Witches might have like some sort of a strategy or like some sort of a precise strategy to for her to be able to like transport like the demon dweller for her to be able to like heal and transport like the demon dweller and demon slayer sword. Definitely my personal understand the Queen of Witches might her plan might be to like eventually find a way, figure out a way to like eventually sharply raise the mana eventually and get even stronger and be able to like sharply raise the mana to like that extreme extent that at that point like she would be even with while pursuing magic she would be able to like handle like the magic training anti-magic demon slayer and demon dweller sword like and that way for the Queen of Witches attempting to steal like those swords right now so that like she would be able to like use it in like the future. This would be like one possibility that I'm considering for like the Queen of Witches to right now trying to attempt to try to selfishly steal as the sword. So the positive basically the Queen of Witches by now being a changed person, especially with like Asta basically like and everyone like putting their lives on their lines and basically solely because of that reason alone like basically the post of Witches being saved like because of that, like the Queen of Witches like actually feeling like a bit of grateful feeling towards like Asta and crew that basically the Queen of Witches like actually showing up and the Queen of Witches being like a bit of a changed person and the Queen of Witches uh, actually like treating like everyone using her exceptional healing magic like the Queen of Witches most likely instantly like healing all of them. All of like the injured fighters, the Asta and all of the injured fighters like that like even lying on the floor on the ground. It's like the other possibility that I'm also totally perfect. And the Queen is like totally like while totally repaying her time also even more by also basically letting Vanessa leave with like Asta like the other possibilities that I'm also totally perfect. Okay, so like definitely my personal question right now is that like if the Queen of Witches like currently right now even acts out in an ungrateful manner and actually does in fact steals as does swords and basically then I'm personally like most likely what the Queen of Witches would do would be most likely uh, Venus just won't be definitely taking the life of like all of them, but like the Venus just will be like if that's the scenario, then I'm considering for the Venus after scaling and stuff, so it would be like totally deciding to like in person, like Asta and everyone, Asta and his group, along with like Vanessa and all of them, in like most likely individual bird cases or like person cells, and once again, both like Vanessa in her special bird case. Basically, that way, like the Queen of Egypt acting out in like a sadistic, selfish manner is like one possible that I'm considering. And if that's like the scenario, then I'm considering definitely for like history to like once again repeat itself. But like precisely like when the Queen of Egypt would be totally feeling as if like she has like accomplished her goal in like a extremely selfish manner, like right without much delay. I'm totally predicting like the remaining of like the Black Soul, like with like Yami and the rest of them, like basically like making it to like the first of witches and precisely Yami like basically ordering like the Queen of Witches to like basically let out like all of this like crew members like Asta and everyone, or else like Yami making the threat to like the Queen of Witches that basically history would be repeating again and exactly like how Yami would be telling the Queen of Witches that basically exactly like how in the past that basically like defeated most likely maybe like Yami might have fought and defeated like the Queen of Witches in like the distant past or like Yami might have freed Vanessa back when like the Queen of Witches might have been like not present temporarily not present in like the first of Witches might have been how like Yami like the distant past might have like freed Vanessa from like the bird cage and that way Vanessa even ended up as a member of like the Black Witch race. So anyway like on the threat that Yami would be making is that like once again going to repeat history if you don't agree and basically I'm going to like not only free Vanessa but like I'm going to free all of my crew members and we are going to leave the forest of witches whether you like it or not. Like in such a manner, like Yami making the threat. And most likely I'm considering there for there to not be like a fight between like the Queen of Witches and Yami, but instead like I'm considering like the Queen of Witches possibly being like even intimidated with like Yami's threat and basically the Queen of Witches like totally on top of like letting her stab and all of them leave along with like Yami. Like the Queen of Witches also like Asta would be straight away asking back the sword as well. So but like Yami solely because of Yami's like intimidating presence, like I'm considering like the Queen of Witches like even letting giving back Asta his sword as well, and like all of them heading off back. While the Queen of Witches would be at that point would be extremely frustrated and would be setting her eyes on precisely Yami on eventually for the Queen of Witches being so feeling so extremely disrespected and would be having that even more of a grudge towards like specifically Yami and like the Black Wolf and the Queen of Witches with that grudge like eventually starting George is starting to like make her plans in her mind to like eventually get revenge and destroy take the life of Yami and destroy like the entirety of like, the Black Wolf. So with that full goal in the Queen of Witches mind, like the Queen of Witches like patiently deciding to like temporarily let all of them leave for the time being. It's like the possibility that I'm just developing and not going to very much. Okay, so like the new measures in generation right now after like the Queen of is like on top of creating her execution ground, like have basically making Asta suffer like I'm considering right now so like the Queen of is like actually going through the extreme of like actually trying to like take Asta like and suspend Asta won't be able to like do anything at all. But like I'm considering like the Queen of would be able to take Asta like precisely Yami and the remaining of the Blackwood crew making the extreme cool entrance and basically that would be it for like the Queen of Witches and her plans to basically steal Astra Throne and that whatever those and with her whole execution ground execution plans as well. Everything like totally be straight away destroyed just by like the moment Yami will be making his entrance. It's like the scenario that I'm going to remembering and the Queen of Witches like totally being humbled down, Queen of Witches at that point having her massive ego getting crushed and basically the Queen of Witches being forced to like humble before Yami's strength and might is like the scenario that I'm putting in my percentage impression. Okay, so like the Queen of Witches impression right now as for like the Queen of Witches telling Asta to like stay with her while simultaneously creating like the execution ground for like all of the remaining Asta's crew members. Like I'm considering definitely the Queen of Witches plan would be definitely to like basically execute Vanessa as well as like all of the Asta's crew members and then so that it would be just Asta and like the Queen of Witches alone. And at that point, for the Queen of Witches to like protect the Queen of Witches plans would be probably because the Queen of Witches won't be able to like wield like the Demon Dweller and the Demon Slayer. So yet like the Queen of Witches would be well enough to be aware as to like the exceptional powers, superior powers of like the Demon Dweller and the Demon Slayer. So like in order for like the Queen of Witches to like basically still dominate through like the world might be like a plan of like the Queen of Witches for not for her to like because he would like only be seeing her as such a perfect queen and everything basically like the Queen of Witches might not want to live a life by isolating herself to like the fox of witches territory alone and the Queen of Witches might want to like spread her reach and her role and basically throughout like the world and the Queen of Witches might be currently seeing like Asta has like her perfect puppet or like her perfect this like puppet that basically she could like totally use because like Asta alone can handle like the demon demon slayer superior the or demon slayer and demon dweller sword and also the Queen of Witches might be only planning on placing Asta in like the front and placing Asta in like the front and while like the Queen of Witches will be using her unique magic to basically control Asta and basically for like the Queen of Witches to like basically take on any enemies that would be opposing like the Queen of Witches vicious and desires and the Queen of Witches extending of like most likely the Queen of Witches free and everything like no matter who opposes the Queen of Witches the Queen of Witches plan would be like perfectly place control and place Asta forward and fight using by controlling Asta fighting using Asta uh because like Asta would be able to use demon dweller and demon slayer swords and precisely using this like unique magic of the queen when like the Queen of Witches would be controlling remotely controlling Asta like basically her magic won't be drained by Asta building like the demon Dweller and Demon Slayer. So might be like the situation is definitely might be like the Queen of Witches plan and might be like the reality of the situation is definitely my person to remember. So this might be like the plan of like the Queen of Witches on how she will be planning on precisely using Asta to basically achieve all of her future goals that she would have in her mind. Definitely my person to remember. Okay, so like definitely I'm person to remember right now that like writers like the Queen of Witches will be totally assuming and things that basically she will be able to right now play like the ultimate sadistic villain and by like making by controlling Asta and basically to basically make Asta use her swords on precisely its own best friends like basically and that way making Asta execute them like I'm precisely before like the Queen of Witches would be like about to Asta would be about to that way like about to strike a sword on like the person uh most likely Noel or like Vanessa that preparing the Queen of Witches would be controlling Asta would be like would be about to make Asta swing his sword but like yes, the sword would be about to land so precisely stitching in my the impression like precisely Yami and like the remaining blackness will be showing up and right now even then like the we just wouldn't be like intimidated, especially the Queen right now won't be having that extreme overconfidence that because like she now has like the uh, she's now able to like remotely use like the demon dweller as well as like the demon slayer. So like the Queen of Witches would definitely right now would be having that extreme overconfidence that she would be able to like take on and defeat Yami. So like I'm with the right and like basically once like Yami and the Black Beast would be showing up and the and like the I'm preparing like a 1 versus 1 fight between like Yami versus like the Queen of Witches. Where like the Queen of Witches will be using Asta remote controlling and using Asta to like fight Yami. So like I'm preparing in that fight, I'm preparing Yami to like see this struggle because like the Queen of Witches would be precisely and perfectly would be able to like use Asta's like remotely control us and be able to like use Asta's like Demon Dweller and Demon Slayer source in like the perfect manner like the scenario that I'm preparing. So I'm preparing Yami as well to like totally struggle against like the Queen of Witches. But I'm preparing as like that fight will be progressing and like I'm preparing me for play like Asta which was controlling us and even succeeding in landing like sword strike on the Yami causing like Yami that guy causing Yami a bunch of injuries as well. Like the scenario that I was preparing. But like as the fight will be progressing, I was preparing the entirety of like the remaining Black Bull's crew would be totally shouting out to Asta that basically shouting out to Asta, telling Asta to like wake up. Snap out of it, like wake up, and at that point, I was preparing precisely. Eventually, the fight between Yami and the Queen of Witches, they're reaching like its climax, where like I was preparing Yami would be getting overpowered, seriously overpowered, and the Queen of Witches using by controlling Asta would be about to land the final blow on Asta and might even be able to final blow on Yami and the kind of the coming of scenario is like the control Asta about to land his like final sword right on Asta on Yami and about to Asta that way about to take Yami's life. But that very last second I was preparing finally like the words of like the repeated shouting words of like the Blackwood crew members like basically finally being able to like reach through to like Asta's ears and mind and basically at that very last second Asta totally stopping and Asta basically breaking free from like the remote controlling magic of like the universe and then I'm personally pressing for like most likely like for either Yami all by himself like taking out like the Queen of Witches like or like I'm considering the team of like Asta as well as Yami respectively or scoring a defeating like the Queen of Witches. They won't be taking the life of the Queen of Witches but they would be like it would be game over for like the Queen of Witches at that point. And I'm considering simultaneously they would be like or scoring and defeating and simultaneously crushing like the Queen of Witches massive ego as well. And then I'm separating in a heroic manner for like Yami and his crew, along with Francel and everyone like basically stepping out of like the first of which in like as like in like a victory in like an absolutely victorious manner, like the scenario that I'm considering.